Alright, so it's been a little while. Thought I would show how to deal with the secure boot issue that comes with some of these computers. This happens to be a Dell, and how I've been able to deal with some of the partition issues that come stock with the hard disk. Not claiming to do it perfect, just claiming this is how I got it done. It was rather messy last time. Maybe I'll do a little bit better. So basically, I've unpacked this sucker. Plug it in. So everything's plugged in. Right, so I'll start out with method to my madness here. This is going to be my installation medium. And I'm going to do one thing on purpose to show how easy it is to upgrade OpenSUSE from 13.1 to 13.2. I could create this for 13.2, but I'm going to decide to take the longer route here. So the first thing I got to do is I got to wrestle with this thing and see if I can get the secure boot not to work. But basically what we're dealing with is a piece of hardware that has a BIOS, and I don't know exactly which F1 or F10 to push, but it's one of those usually. So this is if you want to get another operating system on your computer. Now this happens to be OpenSUSE, the way OpenSUSE works. Some things work well. It works fairly well with keeping an existing Windows installation in place. I don't... Well, my opinion is it doesn't really do all that well with just getting rid of the Windows altogether, which is what I'm going to do. Then we go through some other steps. So basically what I'm doing here is I'm going to have a host of Linux, and I'm going to bring over a Windows installation I already have in VirtualBox, Windows 8. And a Windows 2000 and a Ubuntu, really old version of Ubuntu that we have for a really old program that we're happy with, so we're not going to change. Windows 2000s for the legacy programs, and Windows 8 is what we're currently using. We haven't gone to Windows 10 yet. I have to check the circumstances. So there's going to be some computer here on the network somewhere that I'm going to pick, and basically I'm going to copy up the those 3 disk images to the network while I'm doing this. Basically removing Windows 8 and putting Linux in it. And once it's just Linux, then there's none of this mess with the booting, who's going to let me boot, who's not going to let me boot. I can just boot. If I want to use Windows, I can use Windows. If I want to use Linux, I can use Linux. And the reason why I wouldn't have done this about 6 or 7 years ago is because performance is a lot better now. This is a Core i7. It's got 16 gigs of RAM. That's all I was really looking for. I wasn't really looking for anything else. Just plenty of RAM and plenty of power. I think it's got 3.3 or 3.4 gigahertz of speed. In recent years, speeds have not really gone up all that much. Now, I happened to get these at Fry's for $820, which I thought was a really good deal. There was another Fry's nearby that either I didn't see these there or I didn't find them there, but I found them at the one in Sunnyvale. And I like these. It's just the initial struggle with all these new machines now. It's just the initial struggle of dealing with the new type of bootloader, which is UEFI rather than a master boot record controlling the boot loading. I'm not going to run with secure boot. I'm not interested in it. I'm going to do a base installation of SuSE. I'm going to install VirtualBox, and then I'm going to copy down the virtual hard disks back onto this machine. Then I'm going to integrate it. Then I'm going to make a few customizations, make sure the host can print, make sure the host can browse the network, so I can copy back down the hard disks, of course. I'm going to use OpenSUSE's the virtual box that comes with their distribution. It's a little bit older, and I wasn't using it for a while because I didn't know where to find the extension packs. I'm pretty sure I know where to find that now. Hopefully I printed the page. If I didn't, then I know at least where to find the answer. There was an answer on the OpenSUSE forums. And with that, I guess I might as well start. So usually when you turn the computer on, it's just going to want to boot straight into the operating system and have you fill out information. Completely unnecessary unless you plan on using Windows. So the only thing I should really see is the Dell. I'm going to make sure I stop this thing before it gets, these file sizes get too large. There's some standard out there. These videos cannot get more than, I think it might be 2 gigabytes. All right. First of all, I gotta find a USB place. Some place I can put this in. The first thing I'm gonna do is go into the BIOS. Now, some things I'm gonna do here are gonna be common to all machines. Going into the BIOS and finding some kind of, if you want to try Linux and you want to try it in native hardware rather than virtualized, you can. And there's probably other ways to go about this. I'm just getting rid of the whole secure boot roadblock, basically. So I have that in place. I'm going to press the power button. I'm going to press F1 or F10. There may be other ways to do it. There may be easier ways to do it. This is just the way I've done it. Without putting a lot of time or study into this and using some of my older knowledge that I have. Just power up. I'm going to go crazy with the F1 and F10 until I see. I do hope yeah. I think that means it's going to go into the BIOS. Basic input output system. I hope it means that. It's one of these F1s or F10s. I may have missed it. If I missed it, I'm going to pull the plug and try again. We also have a Dell server over there. Now, Dell servers, just as a side comment, I've done a whole thing on, okay, this is not what I wanted. Plug is pulled, we will try it again. So I hope we'll try it again. Whoa. Okay, so it looks like I'm in a UEFI. Okay, so there's more than one BIOS here. So there's a UEFI, kind of like a boot manager BIOS. And I gotta figure out which one of these is just the basic BIOS. There's 2 of them, actually. Just like in their servers. It's gonna get annoying after a while, especially if it doesn't power off. Try number 3. Last night I got lucky. Should be F10 or something. F2. Right, should just pay attention to what's over there. So F2, secure boot, secure boot, just disable it. Save and exit, and you're done. Now you should be able to boot from this little thumb drive that's made from SuSE Studio. That's a whole other subject. But basically what you have to do is buy one of these USB sticks, and you have to have SuSE installed, and you go into something called SuSE Studio, and you ask it to make a bootable disk for you. And this, just like Knoppix, this bootable disk is also able to install. And the one thing I forgot to do, let's change the boot order. I have to make that USB stick the first bootable item. F2. Power is a little bit goofy. Ever since they went to UEFI, powering on and powering off is a little bit goofy. Alright, so boot. I also have to do the boot order. Basically, I have to make the first one the SanDisk, the name of the USB stick that I have. Okay, now it should work. Now it should boot. With what I want to boot, so you got to do all this stuff. Okay, so this is the OpenSuSE 13.1 KDE Live. Now, wireless will work at this point. The reason why I'm not doing wireless is just not as fast. And it matters. It's going to matter. If you're copying a 50 gig file, you want it to be fast. Difference is 8 hours, between 1 and 8 hours. However, this should already be configured to be able to download stuff. This little thing here is probably connected to my wireless already. Just because that's the way it was before. Now this is the hard part. Completely unclear. This is with 13.1, however. And they may even, quote-unquote, improve things in 13.2, but the complications are great enough that it's almost difficult to make a graphical user interface to deal with the different issues that are going here. That's the network manager, I think. It's a little slow to start with. If it asks you what the root password is, it's nothing. Just say OK. Now it's running off this little, the whole computer is being run off this little thing. That is acting like as the hard disk. Alright, so I'm connected both wirelessly and wired. There's something about this UTC, whatever it is. And I'm going to synchronize the NTP server. That means some clock out there is going to tell me what time it is, and I don't have to mess with it. Doesn't always work though. It is a little bit time consuming. I'm doing these one at a time because I don't have another one of these flat screens. I guess I could use mine off my desk, but I'm not going to do it right. I'm not going to do that right now. Alright, now, it'll give you, first of all, it gives you some kind of suggestion. I'm not really all interested in that. Now this, then I go into edit partition setup. Okay, so I have a terabyte drive. It's got an EFI boot partition, some kind of diagnostic, some kind of reserve, Windows tools, the OS, some PBR image, and then it's suggesting a swap space and a Linux native ext4. And after I get rid of all this extra crap, one thing that's odd about it is that you only use up about 600 gigs. I'm not sure why that is. All right, so EFI boot, I'm fine. This, I'm just going to delete the diagnostic partition, Microsoft Reserve partition. I'm going to tell you right now, this isn't going to look like it's going to go very smoothly. But at the end of the day, it works. So these aren't deleted yet. I have no idea what a PBR image is. All right. Now I'll accept that. So what I have, so I've left the EFI boot partition in place. Got a swap partition, but swap doesn't really matter all that much. And I have 600 gigabytes of space being used by ext4. I'm going to edit this. I'd rather have use XFS. Now, first time I did this, it gave me some kind of error. I just tried again, and then it worked okay. Alright, so I'm going to put the users in here. I'm not going to use that. I'm not going to do the Ubuntu thing. I'm not going to use that for the system administrator. It's fine. I'm going to use a password for the root user. Okay, put that in there. Alright, now it's going to say this is an unsupported combination of hardware. Now, I have to go into here. I have to change this to grub EFI. Secondly, I'm not worried about a foreign OS because I don't have one. I'm not going to enable secure boot. Now, it seems to think it's okay. The question is whether it's going to do it okay. So everything's installing from this little thing down here instead of CD. It's a lot more convenient to have one of these things than a CD. Now, it's probably possible to be able to install from one of these little micro SDs. I haven't tried it yet. Let's see if I can find it. It's easy to lose. Here we go. One of these things. Which is actually this. Uh-huh. There's, if your computer has one of these things down here where it will fit. Now it's copying the live image. And the last time it gave me a little bit of grief when I was trying to do the keep getting stuck at certain points. Now at this point, it's a little bit strange. I don't know why it was like this. Once I clicked on Dolphin, it suddenly just went whoop. I can barely tell, but down here's a little bit. There was some flickering going on. So. This percentage is inaccurate, as best I could tell. There goes some right there. Now this is where I had trouble last time. If we get to 50% and 90, I'll tell you what I did, or somewhere around here. Copying log files installed system. I'll give it a little bit of time. But if this thing stops flickering, I'm just going to pull the plug. Because the bottom line is that it'll boot. And that's all that matters. Once I boot in, I'm going to do a distribution upgrade. Basically, this is the way you upgrade in SuSE Linux. It's very easy. Going from like, this is 13.1 to 13.2. Just about ready to pull this. I was surprised. It's looking like there's nothing happening. I don't care about log files, especially copied log files. So pull that, pull the plug, load it back up, and hopefully get the same results I did last night. Otherwise, I'm going to be messing with this for a while. There we go. That's all I needed. Alright, so the game, it's not game over if that thing freezes there. Now we'll go through the rest of the configuration routine. it's gotten pretty good. It'll even detect another setup that has printers, shared printers on the network, and add them. It's not bad. Now once the configuration's in place, once the bootloader's in place, I'm going to restart. I'm going to make sure it doesn't have an entry for Windows. I don't think it does. And then I'll do a distribution upgrade. So I'm no longer using the USB stick. I'm done with it. Also, when I set myself up, I made sure the box was checked off to be able to log in automatically. Now, I'll tell you about a couple things that are kind of annoying. Now, one thing I didn't do is go in the other room and figure out who I'm going to copy files from. Alright, that's your install. I'll just reboot it, make sure it boots up. A couple things I do. Okay, I get rid of this. Okay, let's close. I get rid of this. I don't like this. I go here. I set the default desktop settings. I go with folder view. I'm not a widgets flunky. Next thing I do is I go in here, right click on that, switch to classic style. Next thing I do, configure desktop, default applications, file manager, I change that to Conqueror. Okay, let's restart this. Not bad. Not good either. I think it's trying to do something. The file systems, they're very resilient, especially XFS. You can just getting worried. I'll copy the images up during the distribution upgrade. Something's going on. Okay, so the install, I don't know. The install might be a little broken, it might not, I don't know. But since I'm going to upgrade anyway, does it matter? Okay, so now I'm going to go into System, YAS Control Center, right click, add desktop. That's a goofy looking element. What they did that for? A perfectly good looking lizard. I don't really put an elephant on there. Okay, now I'm going to edit the software repositories. This is the distribution upgrade. Now, if you have a full installation of SuSE already, and you want to go up to the next version, this is the way you do it. Now, you want to make sure you have a network connection. I got the cable in the back. I will say that in 13.1 and 13.2, the networking is goofy. I've had to struggle with it on some occasions. So notice I'm changing the 13.1 to 13.2. There we go. Alright, here's the deal. This is what I hate about this SuSE. I'll just do it right now. Now I can use wireless or I can use the wire. For now, wireless is okay. The problem is you can't have both wireless and wired. They both won't work. I can go in here and I can configure this to connect to the wireless all the time. Okay, so what's going to end up happening is when I try to copy down the 50 gigabyte, it's going to be going like 1/20th of the speed because it's wireless. It still is a little fast. It is faster to use cables. So what I really want to do, I just want to abort this. What I want to do is I want to go here to the network devices. And this can be a pain in the ass too. It gets unplugged. It's a pain in the ass, especially this Athelos. Okay. Now see this where it says Ethernet network card? Just leave it alone. This is the one you want to use. This one never gets activated. I don't know why. Whatever, who cares? Okay, so just edit this. Give it a static IP. I gotta pick one. Host name. Whatever. Now you also have to do traditional method with if up. DNS servers, I use Google's. 8.8.8.8. Now, you don't have to install. You don't have to install Linux to use VirtualBox, by the way. I'll put the gateway in. Yeah, hopefully this will give me a live connection, and I'll be able to check that. Well, I'll have to have. No, actually, I won't be able to check that. I won't be able to check that until I try to change these repos so I can do the zipper, the update. But for now, I won't have the option for wireless. The wireless card will never activate. Probably because there's some firmware in there. And it needs the network manager to load the firmware. I'll find out in a second. Notice that it didn't change. So if I can't change this to 2... Okay, it worked. Don't worry about that. It's just BS. Right there, that's accepting the license for 13.2. Fancy. Actually highlight the number. Now, all these repos, it gets kind of confused. They all have a different purpose, and there's more repos than the ones that come stock. But since I'm doing a base installation, I'm not worried about customization here. I'm just worried about very basic functionality. That's all I want to worry about every time I get a new machine. I'm going to do all the customization in virtual machines. It's because you have more than one CPU, you could utilize the more than one CPU. You won't really have a slowdown. What I'm going to do is, once I start the distribution upgrade, we get to the point where it's going to download a bunch of packages and then install them somewhere in like 1800 or something like that. I'll stop this video and I'll do a second one. Now, unfortunately for people that you know, the command line scares you, you're gonna have to do one scary thing. Use the command line for the distribution upgrade. So I'm gonna change the root user. Alright, there I am. ZYPPER. Dupe. That it just downloads the information for the repositories again that you've already done, so actually it doesn't take that long. You could actually do this without going into YAST. I just forgot where it's located. I think it's somewhere. I'm not sure if Conqueror is going to work here. It does. Okay. If you have to be root though, you can go in here to etc. I think it's zip and repos D. All he did when you did that graphics is edit these. Of course, you have to have write access to these. You just change the 1 to 2. The root user has write access, but you'd have to log in. Okay. Do I want to do that? Yeah. To get past this is just some note for, an MP3 plugin. Just quit. Yes, to accept the license. This is Adobe, I think, for PDF or Flash Player. Quit. Y. So it's QY. Press enter, and then you just let it run for about, depending on your network speed. This has 1,857 packages to download. So since I don't have a pause button, I'm just going to stop this one right here.